This protest to the newspapers. You think you can get this published?
Okay. So what's the headline gonna be? Famous artists draw colored lines against.
Against me.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm mad enough to spit. And not just against me, but against the whole race. For all of us denied the opportunity to create as artists.
That's Whitney Fain and Adorian Owens performing a scene from a play they wrote about the experiences of Florida sculptor Augusta Savage, set in 1923. Their work is being incorporated into a new theatrical production called The Freedom Project that looks at African American history in Florida with music, poetry, dance, and more. The production will be performed July 29th at the Abbey in downtown Orlando. The Freedom Project is being produced by the Florida Theatrical Association, the organization that brings touring Broadway shows to Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami. Khalid Tapia is operations coordinator for the FTA.
We want to bring to life the folklore, the poems, the songs of some of the most famous African American Floridians. And we did a casting and things started rolling from there. People started coming in, bringing their creativity, and we are at the point now where we're having a great show for people to see, in addition to the fact that it's historical and it's going to be educational for people to learn.
Brandon Martin is artistic director for the Freedom Project.
We've kind of thought of a way that we could feature Black history, and through the discussions between Khalid and myself, we decided to focus on Florida history. And actually, because I am a fan of your show of Florida Frontiers, I think that helped want to focus on Florida history, but specifically Black history that has been made in Florida, or people from Florida who have contributed to American history and culture as a whole.
Khalid Tapia and Brandon Martin knew that they wanted to include writer, folklorist, and anthropologist Zora Neale Hurston in the Freedom Project, as well as sculptor and arts educator Augusta Savage, and brothers James Weldon Johnson and John Rosamond Johnson, who wrote the song Lift Every Voice and Sing, also known as the Black National Anthem. The cast members of the Freedom Project have expanded that original vision, working as collaborators to develop the production.
So we have people that are choreographing their own dances. We have someone who pretty much wrote their own 10 to 15 minute play, which is amazing, and people that have written their own scenes. And it's just bringing this historical, this history to light in such an amazing and engaging way. I'm very proud to see it unfold.
Arias West is a collaborator on the Freedom Project, incorporating step dancing into the production.
We all collectively want to kind of come together to uplift the stories of Floridians, specifically, and Black trailblazers here in Florida. So we had this research done by the director of it all, the main director, and our cultural coordinator, who kind of came up with these very important people who kind of created songs and poetry and wrote books and had these really interesting stories. So we all, who was cast in the show, we all had different skill sets, that came together to kind of pick and choose which part of the Florida story we want to tell. So what I guess a part of my process has been just kind of adding my way of shining or my strong suits to tell stories. At the end of the day, we're all storytellers. And if we're going to talk about certain subjects, what is the best way to express these subjects? Is it through a monologue? Is it through singing or acting? And we wanted to kind of do it all, but I also am a dancer. So what I guess my role is kind of incorporating like the dance element to help tell a story, and specifically step, which is a percussive kind of style dance, which comes from our ancestors, and it kind of like really gives like a rooted feel for what I was going for with my story. while we were doing research and looking through all of these collective people and stories and poems and all of these things, I found this little story about this town in St. Augustine called Fort Mose. And the guy who kind of protected Fort Mose, his name was Captain Francisco Menendez. And so I did a little more digging due to the links that they provided to us, of course. I just did more research and I found out that this was actually the first free Black community. And I was like, wait, I thought Eatonville, which is, like 20 minutes away right here in Orlando, I was like, I thought Eatonville was. And I'm looking at the difference. I have to do more research. And I'm seeing that Eatonville was the first established, like fully incorporated Black community where, we have the benefits and the resources and we're working and, but this community, they had to kind of like be in a hideout in a sense, Fort Mose. So that's how I kind of like got to this story. So seeing that this was happening to tie in how I'm using STEP to do this, a couple of years ago, I did a project where I talked about like a very similar story where the Africans came over, they were working in the slave mines and they did gumboots to communicate. And I wanted to tell the story of how it went from gumboot to stepping in colleges and fraternities, and then how it's like a freedom of expression. And I was like, it would be cool if I can kind of go through that same movement of how the Africans came over. They were here in British colonial territory, and then they came down to St. Augustine, Florida, and had this community. And then nowadays, it kind of went away for a while, but now it's preserved and people don't know about it, but they do now. And it's in St. Augustine. So like all of this history, I thought it would be great to just kind of use those same elements, but to tell a new story and add new steps and add new vocals and chants and dances to tell this new, very similar, but like a new story, Fort Mose was established by the Spanish in 1738 as a free colony for people escaping British slavery in colonies north of Florida. The Underground Railroad ran south before it traveled north. The creators of the Freedom Project are basing their production on history, but also hope that it provides an opportunity to reflect upon the present and future. Felicia Chauvin is cultural coordinator for the Freedom Project.
We can become our own historical archaeologist and really treasure and value our stories and allow that to be a foundation for the history that we continue to make. So I hope that it will be a catalyst for people to go from passive to active in remembering our history, owning our history, and allowing that to be a part of our healing as a community. Because, remembering and remembrance is a part of healing.
Artistic Director Brandon Martin.
My hope is that we learn, obviously, that we are entertained. We definitely want to entertain and engage and start conversation and get us to think about where Florida has been, what it is now, and what it can become. It's in our Constitution. We're always striving for a more perfect union. And we can certainly work towards a more perfect Florida and have a Florida that really includes us all and really speaks to all the stories that you can find here in this wonderful state we call home.
The Freedom Project will be presented July 29th at the Abbey in downtown Orlando. Admission is free, but tickets must be reserved in advance at eventbrite.com.
And now I get a letter from the American Committee. My scholarship has been withdrawn for fear that selling with the likes of me might offend white girls off to see gay Paris.
This is Florida Frontiers, the weekly radio magazine of the Florida Historical Society. I'm Ben Brookmarkle. Visit us anytime at myfloridahistory.org to find great books on Florida history and culture, listen to archived editions of this program, watch our public television series Florida Frontiers, and much more. That's myfloridahistory.org.